Welcome everyone to our webinar Wednesday. My name is Stephen Phelps, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at Acumen. And today's topic will be covering how your business can increase profitability with integrated payments. To help us with today's webinar, we brought in the Fortis team to give you a brief introduction on who they are, and then we'll dive deeper into a demonstration on the new integrated payment process for Sage 300. Please be aware that today's webinar is in listen-only mode and should last around 1 hour long. If you have any questions, then please use the chat option and we'll answer them near the end of the presentation. With that said, I will now pass it on to the Fortis team.
Thank you so much, Stephen, and welcome everybody to our webinar today, Increase Profitability with Integrated Payments for Sage 300, the exciting world of credit card processing. And by the end of this presentation, you will understand exactly how you can make payments work for you instead of the other way around. A little bit about today's agenda. We'd like to introduce Fortis to you, and we will be brief and make it very painless, I promise. We'd like to talk about the current challenges most small to medium-sized businesses are encountering. I hate to keep mentioning the word COVID, but trust me, that caused so much chaos that it actually made us make changes that accommodated the requirements our customers requested. We want to teach you today how to better understand your current merchant statement. And it all begins with understanding your fee structures or the fee structures available to you, as well as level 3 processing. For those of you that are not familiar with level 3 processing, pay attention to the slides that I'm going to present regarding this specific topic. Why? Because this could potentially help you to lower your rates in half. You heard me correctly, sometimes even more than half. We'd also love to talk about solving the credit card processing challenges. Why? Because ultimately, this is what will help your bottom line. Solving the challenges will not only help you to save time, but it will also help you to save money. And then, of course, want to make sure to cover next steps. So as I promised, a quick summary about Fortis. We truly believe that payment should be clear and simple. Why? Because we are consumers as well. So if we make it easy on your customers, they will, of course, continue to come to you for your services and happily pay you in a convenient, secure, and automated manner. Through a combination of powerful technology with our unique, exceptional service, we provide merchants and partners with the best experience while, of course, incorporating the ability to accept payments. Now, the millennials we have to thank for this. They decided that they want to do everything using a cell phone, right? They shop, they make their payments, they transfer payments, etc. So we want to make payment processing as easy as it is for a millennial at your business, right? Why not allow people to connect businesses of all types and sizes with the right tools to accept payments while providing an exceptional service? Now, you're going to hear me say exceptional service over and over again. Why? Because this is one of the hottest topics as it relates to payment processors. You are always going to count on Fortis to have live human beings when you make a phone call to Fortis. You'll actually be able to talk to experts, consultants, and support providers. We offer the strongest payment technology. We push the limits of payment processing through our proprietary platform. Now, this is crucial. Owning our own gateway means that we have the flexibility that other payment providers will not have as it relates to specific requirements at your company. Let's say, for example, you have an e-commerce solution that you've used for years and adore. Your customers are used to it. You really don't want to make the changes. With us, you won't have to. Why? Because we have the flexibility to create an integration directly into your e-commerce solution. That applies to point of sale. It also applies to mobile solutions, etc. The payment integration, we integrate with several ISVs. So for example, North 49 is a great example for an ISV that we currently integrate with. E-commerce specifically, you have it accessible to you. If there are point of sale solutions or mobile solutions, as I mentioned before, we're happy to help. We've been in the payments industry for over 20 years. The 150 plus number is increasing by the minute almost, because we are acquiring other companies that are helping us to bring the level of expertise that we require in-house instead of having to search anywhere outside. We have 200 plus agents and partners. How does this help us? We actually create solutions based on the recommendations of our partners, our agents, and of course, our merchants, which, by the way, thousands of merchants nationwide. And we process billions of transactions per year. The spelling is correct, it was billions. Now, what are most of the internal challenges that you're running into? Believe it or not, the biggest internal challenges to improving profitability are, as you can see on the screen, lack of human capital. How can we not count on our human capital? We have to count on them, but as an alternative, are there ways that we can automate our process that will help us to bring our human capital to other and provide them as resources to other departments? That answer will be within our next slides. The lack of communication between teams, you're probably asking, what does this have to do with payments? Let me tell you what it is. Sometimes the front office received the payment, the back office doesn't know, therefore they're not sending the ticket to the warehouse to have the item delivered or handed over to the customer. What kind of a headache is that? It's an unnecessary headache. There's inefficient and outdated technologies out there. Believe it or not, people are still writing checks. People are still having a written sales order, a written invoice. They're having a front counter not communicate with the warehouse. And I'm here to tell you how the payments industry has innovative ideas that will help you eliminate the lack of technology. Lack of visibility into cost and performance data. Again, it all has to do with the way that we connect all of the different platforms. And I keep repeating, because we own our own gateway, we are able to connect the different payment platforms and have a centralized location where you're able to view all of the reports of payments that are coming from every direction. Fraud protection, ladies and gentlemen, credit card fraud is on the rise worldwide. In the US alone, fraudulent losses exceeded $1.8 billion in the past years. Now, I know that most of us feel that like this won't happen to us. And let me tell you that we have actually seen businesses go under by a simple security breach. I don't have to mention the big companies that you're probably aware of that have actually been announced in the news, where there has been a breach and hackers have been able to obtain credit card information. And that, of course, will affect your customers. It will affect you. The banks will penalize you. The card brands will also assess different fees. You really don't want to get involved with that. And Fortis is here to help you with fraud prevention. Remember, you have the experts, over 50 years of collective experience on the line today. Ask questions. We're happy to provide you with information. I was talking about the need for technology that talks within the company, right? The connected technology. Integrated payments have everything to do with this technology. Why? Because we help to eliminate duplicate entry. And I wanted to type in double entry, but really it becomes double, triple, sometimes more than triple data entry, which is completely unnecessary. We offer you an automated solutions, fully compliant and secure. Duplicate entry, as you know, is time consuming and error prone. Now, in addition to saving you money with level 3 processing, which I'll talk about in another bullet farther down, we save time. We help you to save time. Do you know that on average, each credit card transaction can take you within 1 and 3 minutes to process? Imagine eliminating that and having to do that only once and just getting it over with in a secure manner. Omni-channel payments, for those of you that are not familiar with that term, again, it's thanks to the millennials. They are used to accepting payments and processing transactions anywhere at any time. And this is on a consumer personal side of things. Now, you as a business, the very least you should do for your customers is give them the options that they're accustomed to on their cell phone. Provide them with omni-channel payments. Make their payment anywhere at any time. I started this presentation talking about how confusing a merchant statement can be and why you need to understand exactly what those fees entail and how to get the lower fees. The variance in processing fees may help you negotiate and avoid, underline avoid charges. Not all merchant providers provide the level 3 processing for B2B or B2G transactions. Let me explain briefly what this does. It's a program that was put in place by Visa and MasterCard, which basically asks you for 13 to 16 data fields in order for you to prove that you're processing a business-to-business or business-to-government transaction. If you prove that you are indeed accepting such a transaction, the rate can go as low as 0.08%. Now, if you're multitasking, stop right now because you heard the right number, 0.08%. That's how low the transaction fees can go if we process using level 3 data. And I'll explain further detail, but you have to stay on the lookout for information regarding level 3 because this is where we could save you, or not I, Visa, MasterCard can save you the most amount of money. Customer support, believe it or not, this is crucial. Most processors will send you to India when you make a phone call because your credit card machine is down or because a transaction doesn't look real, etc. With Fortis, we offer 24/7 live support. Now, our salespeople and our consultants, and don't kill me, they're on the line right now, are willing to share their personal cell phones with our customers. Yes, they are, because that's how much our customers matter to us. And yes, we do make it personal and we put a face to the faceless industry, and that would be our face, which I'm not putting a picture up because really it's not that pretty. Now, let's start with understanding who receives the fees. Most people will call us and say, lower my fees. Fortis, you have to. Well, most of the time we do not have control over certain fees. So the card issuers, right, Visa, MasterCard, they are in charge of the interchange fees, international fees, AVS. The banks would be that. I just confused myself. The card brands are in charge of assessment fees and the other fees that you see listed here. Now, we as processors have no control over the card issuer fees or the card brand fees, but we point them out on the statement for you so that you know there's really not much we could do there. They're standard. Now, in the area that we do have control, take a look at the amount of bullet points. There are sales discounts, authorization transaction batch fees, PCI compliance fees. Believe it or not, some processors are able to offer you a lower fee for PCI compliance or might even provide you with assistance at no charge to become and remain PCI compliant. There are support, statement, gateway fees, and on and on and on. These are the fees we have control over. And again, we're going to underline them on your statement and show you exactly where you have the option to take control and have the processor give you the best fees available. Then there are the fee structures. Understanding the type of fee structure that your business better fits, or the other way around, that fits your business, is the best solution for you to obtain the lowest rates available. Many people are happy, for example, with flat rates. Why? Because they're very straightforward, no changes, month to month you get the same fee, and it's very easy to reconcile, right? This is where the setback comes into play. Flat rates bind you to a contract that give you that specific rate, which basically does not allow you to leverage any programs that are put in place by the card brands that can potentially lower your rates. And I'm specifically talking about level 3 again. Then there's the tiered pricing structure. This is where the processor has full control over 3 different buckets that they create: a fully qualified, mid-qualified, and non-qualified bucket. Now, believe it or not, we've analyzed thousands of statements, and coincidentally, most of the transactions are not qualified. What does that mean? You get the higher rate. Again, the processor has full control of this. You decide if you want to let them keep control or take it back. How do you take it back? Go with Interchange Plus. Interchange Plus is the most transparent fee structure. This fee structure specifically basically allows the processor to pass the hard cost from the card brands directly to you, the merchant. It gives you full control to negotiate any of the markup fees with your provider. Now let's jump into level 3. If you're on the Interchange Plus structure, you are then able to leverage level 3 processing. Merchants who process level 3 transactions save money with lower interchange rates, as I mentioned before. And this is anytime you process a business to business or business to government transaction. Now, there are several data fields that are required in order to qualify a transaction for level 3 rates. We provide the data fields automatically to Visa, MasterCard on our merchants' behalf. And you could see that we integrate to multiple Sage platforms. And we also provide the security. You're looking at the data fields that are required on the screen right now in order to qualify a transaction for level 3 rates. Don't panic. You really have nothing to do in the background other than process through Fortis. Now, today we're going to go through a demonstration of the software. Please know ahead of time, the process, the workflow process that we're going to follow in the software remains as you wish that workflow process to be. And we're going to take the data fields from Sage, deliver them on your behalf, and get you the lowest rates available. Now, I mentioned that it'll cut the rates in half, but depending on the volume of a transaction, the rates can go as low as 0.08%. Average savings can range anywhere from $1,000 to over $100,000 a year. And yes, again, you heard me correctly. The savings could be very considerable. Let's talk about technology now. I know that I'm going fast and trying to fit as much information as possible, but I want you to know that you could always reach out to us and we can provide you with one-on-one presentations. Actually, Stephen is able to help us coordinate those meetings. Now, the payment technology, as I mentioned to you, we have our proprietary platform, our gateway, which allows us to customize your user interface. We provide enhanced security. And then, of course, we can continue to add comprehensive features. Let me give you a really good example. Well, I mentioned to you that the e-commerce solutions, right? A good example is a point of sale. We've had multiple merchants and not everybody has the same point of sale. We've actually been able to integrate with their point of sale solution. So we streamline the process from the moment a customer comes to the front desk, all the way to the back office, and then of course, reporting. We've also streamlined the process with mobile solutions, delivery truck route delivery. And I know I repeated myself there, but those are good examples of how exactly we could streamline the process using third-party products. Additional features, as you can see here, we talked about the majority of them. The bottom line is we're going to make acceptance made easy, seamless onboarding. You will receive exceptional service. We provide features such as a quick invoice, as well as click to pay functionality, which you will see in the presentation. Now, the level 3 processing applies to Visa, MasterCard, but American Express also has a special program that allows us to lower rates, and it's called American Express Opt Blue, which is also available. We talked about level 3 processing, PCI compliance. It's important you know we offer tokenization. The tokenization and card vault technology stores customer payment data risk-free. So of course, risk mitigation. We reduce fraud by using EMV technology. We offer cloud EMV. And then of course, the customized reporting. The customized user interface includes the ACH services. We are, of course, EMV certified. And then, of course, you have access to a virtual terminal as well as our mobile app. I wanted to have a slide on its own here for the PCI compliance because, again, I can't underline enough how much you are at risk if you are not PCI compliant. Now, we are willing to provide assistance at no charge to get you PCI compliant and then help you remain PCI compliant. So keep that in mind. With that, I'd like to hand it over to you, Robert.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And thanks everyone for joining this call. I'll just kind of go over these on a real high level, and then we'll do a demo for you to show you how this all works in your Sage 300. So these are some real important points when you go with the processor. Anybody that has pain points with their current processor will agree. The most important, dedicated live support. We answer calls. Our customers get our landlines. It's not an 800 number. And we share, we do screen shares. We work in conjunction with Stephen and his team, so we'll get to any issues you have, immediately. A benefit of our solution, integrated ACH and EFT processing within the same platform. So you can give your customers options to pay you. PCI fees, we touched on them a little earlier. A lot of companies have significant PCI fees, and it's a necessary evil. We've been able to alleviate that, and we do not pass those on to you folks. Another big thing is annual fees that a lot of companies pass on. It's just a profit maker for them. We do not charge you folks annual fees. Along those lines, cancellation or liquidation fees. There's some processors in the industry that have a very high early termination fees. We offer our customers a month-to-month program so that there are no cancellation fees. Sorry, I got lost when the screen changed there. Same with terminal fees and gateway fees. We will get you a free terminal if you do have face-to-face customers. If you could go to the next slide, please. One of our key points is we are payments experts. We will help you negotiate and understand your current pricing and show you ways that Fortis can save you time and money. We will review, once again, case by case, what you're paying now and how we can help save you. And the big thing that we touched upon earlier was integration. The time savings alone is invaluable, but we always sharpen our pencils on the actual cost as well. Next step. Perfect. And now I'll introduce you to Tom, who will do a live Sage 300s demo.
Perfect. I think everybody could see my screen. So where I always start at is within the Fortis Pay customer. And so this is where you can actually store the payment information directly to the customer record. So as you bring up your customer, you can see, like for Bargain Mart San Diego, I can store both ACH as well as credit cards directly to the system. Now, when you store that card information, it's not physically stored within inside of Sage because that would not be PCI compliant. So what we do is we tokenize and encrypt that card data and store it behind our servers, and basically converting that credit card number to a series of numbers, letters, and symbols. And that way you're storing that information in the most secure and compliant, PCI compliant manner. So just like anything inside of Sage, if you click on the little paper icon, you can store a brand new card. So you can give it a title. A title is anything you want it to be, up to 16 characters. But what I found is most people just use the last 4 digits of the card as the card ID. And then you can put the person's information in here. So I'm just going to put test, and then we'll put the default processing code, which will be CC for credit card. Now there's a couple things that are really important here. So you can activate and deactivate a card. You can make it the default card. And then if you approve it for auto payments, this is something that I'll touch on a little later in the demo, but this is very, very important. And then, so if we want to store the card, we just click save, and then this will launch the payments window where then you can enter in the credit card. So if you enter in the credit card number, you'll notice that the card brand populates. So the logo will change based on the number that's entered to tell you if it's a Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, etc. And then you'll also notice kind of a red hue around the box as well. So as we enter in the full 16 digits, 15 for Amex, 16 for the others, you'll notice that it now becomes green to show you that it is the full card number. So no longer will you actually have to count that. So as I enter in the information, I can now click submit. And then you can see that it's successfully vaulted the card. So we can click close. And then now it will bring that information inside of Sage. So you'll see the last 4 digits of the card and the expiration date. And again, that way you can store that for future use. So I can click close and then move on from that. Now you could also click on the magnifying glass if you wanted to see all the cards stored to this particular customer. Now, when you store a card, it's not stored, it's only stored to this particular customer. It's not like a long laundry list of all the cards you have in your entire system. So that way it's organized specifically to that customer. And so you can see the vault ID, the last 4 digits of the card, the expiration date, the nickname or title that you gave the cardholder's name, billing information, zip code, country, if it's active, if it's a default card, and again, if it's approved for automatic payments or not. So I'll click close from here and close from here. Actually, there's one last thing. So this is also very important. So this is what we call our quick invoicing or click to pay. And so what click to pay is where you can send an invoice out of Sage with a pay now button on it. And so now you'll have a brand new employee that works after hours and on the weekends because you're making it more convenient for your customers to pay. So they can pay it, after the traditional 9 to 5 or on Saturday after a soccer game, right? And so by allowing your customers to pay when they want, you'll notice that your age receivables will reduce, and same with your days outstanding. With click to pay, it leverages the internal emailing functionality within inside of Sage. So you can email one person, you can email multiple people within that organization to then receive that said invoice. So I'll touch base on that as well. So as we come into the Fortis transactions, as we go into order entry, we'll enter in what customer we're working with. So we'll use Bargain Mart San Diego. We'll then select some product that we're selling to the customer. So we'll do a calendar holder. We'll enter in one of those. And so as we post this order, you'll notice that these icons will appear on the right. Right now they're grayed out because no order is created thus far. So we'll click post to create the order, and you'll notice that now the icons appear. So if you remember when I said the approved for automatic payments is very important. So if you have that card stored on file and that card's the approved for automatic payments, then all you have to do is click quick authorization, and then it will pre-authorize that card with one click. Now there's 2 different ways that you can process payments. One is a prepayment. So if the order is $14.65 and they only have $10, then you could do a prepayment of $10, and $10 is what they're processing. You can also leverage this for split payments. So if they wanted to pay $10 on one card and then $4.65 on the other card, you can do that too. The other method would be the pre-auth method, where it's very similar to when you go to a hotel and the concierge says, do you have a credit card that we can keep on file that, and we're going to pre-authorize it for say $200 for incidentals. And then if you order room service and when you check out, it would then convert that $200 down to maybe $15 for the meal that you purchased in room. Right, so you can pre-authorize it and create a reservation on that person's card, and then you can modify that reservation up, down, or the same. So if we do pre-authorization, we can click on that, and then we can use that stored card that we stored. We can also do a card for one-time use. And then you'll also notice that we have credit card terminals enabled as well. So the credit card terminals do integrate with inside Sage. It supports contactless. So like Patty was talking about, since COVID-19, you've started to see a lot of gas stations and prominent department stores accepting contactless. So it looks like kind of like a little Wi-Fi symbol, but you don't even insert or swipe your card. You actually just hover it over the machine and it reads your card. So again, it looks like a little Wi-Fi symbol on there. So that's contactless for your credit card. And then it also does the Android Pay, Samsung Pay, Apple Pay, the EMV chip cards, as well as swiping for both debit and credit. So that's very important for a lot of folks that have walk-up customers. So if we're not using a terminal and we're not doing a one-time use, it's a customer that we always work with. I can then ask the customer, do you want to use your card ending in 1111? Yes, we do. And so as I click pre-authorize, you'll now see that it reached out to Fortis to process the payment, and we came back inside Sage with the authorization code, the dollar amount, the status, and then the date stamp. So as we click close, you'll now see that it is pre-authorized and has the authorization code from here. So if we wanted to move forward, we can do that too. Now, just because I took the payment in sales order entry on the demo, you don't have to. With inside Sage, you can take the payment at any time during the sales cycle. So you can do it within order entry, shipment entry, as well as invoice entry. So for the sake of the demo, I'm just going to ship this product directly from here and post that shipment. Now there's another really cool feature. So if I wanted to invoice this, I can go directly into invoice entry, open it up, capture the payment, and then post it. But there's a functionality within here too, where we call it OE, Fortis OE payments plus invoices. And so this way you can do a query to Sage, and you can see, now we have this shipment ready, and then all we have to do is create the invoice and capture the payment. Well, instead of having to go into each individual one, you could just see the query, and then you can do exactly what it says. So if you wanted to capture an invoice, you can then do multiple all at once. So again, instead of going into each individual, you can pull the query and then create multiple invoices and capture multiple credit cards all with one click. Same thing with now invoicing or printing those invoices and printing those receipts as well. So if we want to do that, we can click the options and then capture an invoice. So now it's processing that request, and it's going to so it just created the invoice for that record, so we can choose if we wanted to print it or email it to the customer. And then what options do we want in there? Do we want the packing slip, etc. from here? So I'm going to email it to the customer. And the email system works based on the setup inside of your Sage. So if your email is set up inside of Sage and your customer has their preferred delivery method as email, you can either email it to the customer or print it directly to your printer if you're going to mail it to the customer. So I'm just going to click close. This is the credit card receipt, so I'll email that as well. And then I'll bring up what that receipt looks like coming to my email. So Sage is just sending out that email right now. So now we can click close and then close from here. So if you don't take the payment within OE, then you can take it with inside shipment entry. So if we don't take it within here, I'm just going to create a quick one. Close from here. You'll notice that maybe the person that's entering in the order isn't going to be the one that's doing the credit card. So if you're allowing a person from shipping to collect that, you'll notice, and this is all based on the role rights and security groups for that user. So if we wanted to take that payment, you'll notice now the pre-payment button lights up. So that way we can actually take that payment within shipment entry, and same thing within invoice data entry as well. Now, similar functionality works within inside AR. So it's for the folks that don't have the OE module, you can take all of your payments within inside AR as well. So if you don't have inventory and you're leveraging the AR invoices, you can do the same thing within AR invoice. And that also works within the click to pay, which I'll get to in just a second. So if we enter in an invoice within AR, I'm just going to change this dollar amount. So we'll click add. And then now you can see that the prepayment button lights up here as well. So if I wanted to make that payment within AR invoice entry, I can do that as well right here. So we're going to use that stored card. Now I can charge it and we're complete. Now for your customers on terms, there's a couple different ways to do it. So if we wanted to view one particular customer, then we can open up our Fortis Pay AR receipts. And so if we create a new batch for the day, we could then query that customer. So if Bargain Mart San Diego called and wanted to pay $50, we can then query and see what outstanding invoices they have. So then if the customer said, you know, hey, I want to pay, out of that $50, I want, say $30 to go to invoice 19, and then the remaining amount to go to invoice 20, so $20.20. As we click add, you'll notice now that we can now process that payment. So if you wanted to accept e-check or ACH, so the account number and routing number for the person's bank account, or we can click charge to then charge that credit card. And same process. So if you wanted to use the terminal, you can use the terminal. If you wanted to not use a stored card, then we can use a one-time use card. Or if you wanted to use a stored card, we can do that too. So I'll click charge again, and then now you can see that the card's been approved. So we can click post, and then we can move on to the next one. And then if you wanted to print the receipt, click print receipt. And then again, depending how your setup is inside of Sage, you can print it to the printer or email it to the customer. And then that would look just like this. So this is what the credit card receipt would look like. And it, depending how it would have all your logos and everything. So it leverages Crystal reports, and it have the document number, the amount received, the person's information, the card type, number, transaction number, dollar amount, and then information here. So I'll click close, close. Now, for the folks that either are using reoccurring charges with inside 300, or just have you know, a group of customers that you would rather query than do a payment one by one. So this is another batch functionality. So it's called AR, Fortis Pay AR payments. So I can run a query, and you can see all the invoices that are outstanding for Bargain Mart San Diego, for Ronald Black. So you can see how many invoices are here. And so you can see that apply is all marked as yes, or Y for yes. Now we can deselect those. So we can select it as none, or we can add them. So maybe we just want to take payment for these 3 invoices, or for these 3 outstanding invoices. So instead of going inside AR and processing one by one, if that card's approved, if that customer has a card approved for automatic payments, and the customer has to have a card approved for automatic payments to show up in this query. And same thing with their preferred billing method as credit card. And then it will show up in this query. So instead of going in one by one, I could just select it and then click process payment. And now it will create that AR receipt and process that credit card for those 3 invoices. So you see, I just processed 3 credit cards, created 3 AR receipts in the matter of about 2 seconds. So if you had 45 or 100, if you did them one by one or non-integrated would probably take you a little over an hour and a half. Integrated would be much quicker, and then doing the batch processing would take seconds. So making you more efficient, and that way your folks can move on to something else. Now for the click to pay is sent out through invoicing, but is leveraged more like an AR tool. So as I enter in the invoice, so I'm going to post this order. I'm going to ship it. And so if accounting picked it up in order entry or invoicing, now I can send that invoice. So if I post this, I'm not going to do the shipping label. So I could send the click to pay to the customer. So I'm going to email this directly to the customer. So now that email is sent. It's coming over to my Outlook right now. And again, that's all set up with inside Sage. So here is my email. And that's all dependent on your setup. Again, I keep kind of saying that, but within your company profile, you'll set up your email functionality. So you'll put in your SMPT server name, or your server name, your ports, your username and password, and that way it connects Sage to that user's email, or the company email. So let me open this. It's just doing that Outlook scan. So I think it just popped back. And so now you can see the Pay Now button. So I put the Pay Now button in multiple places. Some people say it sounds like Dr. Seuss, but you could put it there, or you could put it here, you could put it there, you could put it anywhere. So you can put the button wherever you want the button to go, or to be placed. And so as I click Pay Now, it then launches the payments window where then the customer can make that payment. So it has all the transaction information. And so if I enter in the card, expiration date, year, and we'll agree to pay. So now I'll click submit. And you can set these as requirements as well. In my demo system, I have not, so I'll click submit. And now you can see that the payment's been successful. Now the system is smart enough. So say I close this out, or I send it to multiple people, but Sally paid it instead of me. So then if I were to click in this, minutes or hours after she did, and I clicked on it, it would then know that as well. So you can see that the invoice is paid, and that way you can't basically pay the invoice twice. Same thing as if the customer called in and paid, and an AR rep made the payment inside of Sage. It queries back to here, so then that way, again, you can't pay the same invoice twice. It also has what we call invoice chasing. And so based on how you have that set up, we can set it up so that the system's notifying your customer that an invoice is past due. So let me bring up our portal and I'll kind of show you what that means. So what invoice chasing is where when you send the invoice out of Sage, it has the due date included on it. And so do you want the system to send a friendly reminder to your customer on that due date? So if the invoice is still in unpaid status and it's X amount of days before it's due, you know, how many X amount of days, X amount of days before the invoice is due, do you want the system to send a friendly reminder to the customer to remind them to pay? Do you want the system to send a notification on the due date that is due? And if it's now in past due status, do you want the system to send another friendly reminder? And that way you have the system chasing the invoice instead of having a physical employee calling and trying to reach that customer to get them to pay. So again, this will increase your cash flow, reduce your days outstanding, and streamline your AR process. If you don't want this to occur, we can set these as zeros and then you don't have any notifications going out. Now, everyone is probably saying, well, that's pretty cool, but how do you get that inside of Sage? So if we come back into Fortis transactions, we can either set it up to where it syncs based on a schedule, or you can physically click this quick invoice sync, and now it will sync that payment directly to Sage and create that AR batch. So if we go inside our receipt batch, you'll see the Fortis Pay quick invoice payment and the timestamp of that import. So there's that $10.98. So if we open up that receipt batch, you'll see how it was paid with a credit card, the document number, receipt number, all that information. And then you can even print the receipt directly from here. So I just did one, but in theory, if you were to import this on Monday, you might have, 30, 40 from people that paid over the weekend. So we'll click close from here, and then we can post this invoice, and now it will update Sage. And again, we can either have it to where we have this, the quick invoice scheduled. I want to make sure that that's important, that we can either schedule this, or you can have it to where you have to physically click the button to import it. So you could do either or both. And then it sounds like an infomercial, but that's not all. So what's also included with the click to pay is where you can have your customers log into a customer portal. So anytime that the click to pay gets sent out, it creates a customer contact record. And so if you want to give your customers access to the customer portal, they can log in and then see all of their open invoices and pay on open invoices. So like if I use this particular customer, I can see me as the customer can view the invoices. I can pay on the invoices. I can see recent transactions. I can store card information to here. So if I log into the portal, again, I can see my recent payments. This is the dashboard, so I'll see my recent 5 of recent payments, recent 5 of the open invoices. But if I wanted to see more, just click more, and then you can drill down into that transaction and print out the receipt or email the receipt. And this would have your branding, so your logo, your DBA. Same thing with the portal here. We can have your logo here, and then same thing with the URL. It would have your DBA.fortis, fortispay.com would be the URL. And then same thing with the invoice. If we wanted to see open invoices, we can do that. We can pay multiple invoices. So if you wanted to put the customer portal URL on your statements. You can then direct your customers to pay their statements from the customer portal as well. I know that that was a lot of info, but I think that is it. And I think we have about 9 minutes left, so we could probably open it up for Q&A.
Perfect. So at this time, we'll open up the question and answer box. So if you guys want to write in any questions, we'll read them out loud and answer. We did have a few that came in while you were presenting, so we can go ahead and get started. The first one, it says, when you print an invoice, will it reflect payment received?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect, which I think you showed that. Also, some other questions that came in. It says, what does omni-channel payments mean?
Omni-channel payments means multifaceted. So no longer would you be stuck to just a physical terminal on the counter, but we can process payments when and however you want to. So, for example, inside the Sage 300 integration, you could process in product. You can process on the web, you can process on e-commerce, you can do mobile, you can pretty much do anything, anywhere, anytime, anywhere you want, or wherever you are. So that's kind of what omni-channel means, is that you can do it however, whenever you choose.
Perfect.
So you're not limited. You know, those chains are broken. So you can do it whenever, you know, it's up to you.
Thanks, Tom. Another question, it says, can you change the colors on the dashboards?
Yes.
Perfect. Another one, it says, how much time will an integrated payment solution save me?
So a study was done by Sage, I think about 10 years ago. And so when you, it typically saves you like 3 to 5 minutes per transaction of admin time. Because if you're processing a payment outside the software, you either have to get up or have to log into something, right? So that takes time. Then you have to bring the credit card to write the credit card number down. That then takes time. If it's a repeat customer, you don't have the credit card, now you have to call the customer and get that data. So all that adds up. And then if the phone rings before, as you process a payment on the terminal, and the phone rings and you can't update Sage, then your accounting gets mad because you forgot to update Sage, and now they caught it at their month end or quarter end. So you get rid of all the headaches, all the wasted time by having integrated payments with inside your system.
Thanks, Tom.
And we have a challenge that we wanted to make sure to announce to everyone. Would you mind if I share my screen one last time?
Sure, because accounting always hates this slide, but to date, we have never had to cut a check for $500, but if you send us two of your most recent processing statements, we guarantee you we will save you money. Not only provide an integrated solution that will save you time, but we will save you money towards your bottom line, guaranteed. And there's another slide after the perfect. So this next slide is the steps we would follow with you if you wanted to learn more about integrated payments in Fortis. You would reach out to Acumen, whoever your consultant is. They will set up an introduction with us, coordinate what the next steps will if you wanted to see a live demo or a simple discovery call. If you could provide merchant statements, we could have those the savings ready for you on our next call. So if we had a demo, we could demo the product and as well as show you the savings. We would discuss the workflow, discuss any third-party add-ons you might have, and what version of ERP you're on, what Sage 100, 2018, 2020, and coordinate a follow-up call. Part of the demo, once again, a discovery, a live demo, more in depth than Tom just did. We could review the savings proposal and then discuss next steps, which would be an application process. We would send that application via email, And once it goes through underwriting and is approved, we would schedule a call to implement the setup with you and in conjunction with Acumen. So they would be involved as well to keep an eye on things, but we would be able to get you up and running quickly. And a real big benefit of this, and it's mostly asked, I didn't see it asked in the question, what's the cost? And there is no cost from Fortis. It's built into your Sage ERP. We make our money in your processing. I would reach out to Acumen, whoever your consultant is, to discuss what costs that you might incur from them, because there might be some customizations or some work they might need to tweak. So on our end, there is nothing, but once again, double check with Acumen.
Thanks,
And
Robert.
here's our information. Feel free to reach out to Acumen or myself directly, and we'll answer any questions. And once again, set up another live demo or answer any questions you were not able to ask in the chat.
Yes. Perfect. So yeah, if you guys do have any additional questions, you can email acumenam@acumenfl.com or reach out to your assigned account manager. This webinar will also be recorded, so please check out our YouTube channel and subscribe to that. Also follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook for the latest Sage content. Again, thank you everyone. Thank you for the Fortis team for preparing a great presentation, and we hope to see you guys on our next webinar Wednesday.